The iPad is an incredible device. In terms of power, it lacks nothing compared to a MacBook. While it's often said that the iPad is very limited by its software, is it really that restricted? The answer is, it depends. I used the iPad for a whole week, including for professional work, to see if it could replace my MacBook. What I found is that there are areas where using the iPad instead of a MacBook is actually better. Since I want to honestly share my real-world experience with the iPad, I've chosen not to divide this video into multiple sections. Instead, I aim to create a cohesive stream of thoughts. To be clear, the iPad itself doesn't do much on its own. My experience was greatly enhanced by using expensive but essential accessories like the Magic Keyboard and the new Apple Pencil Pro. To fully use the iPad's potential, these two accessories are absolutely necessary. Particularly for tasks like responding to emails or writing text, I could do everything comfortably without missing my MacBook. In fact, because the iPad is much more portable, practical and lightweight, I found it more enjoyable to perform many tasks. There's certain satisfaction I experienced using the iPad. It could be the novelty of a new product, but I generally felt more pleasure using it. Unlike my MacBook, which I typically use at home, I enjoy taking the iPad out and about. The key takeaway from this week is that while the iPad is indeed limited by its software, it excels in versatility. The iPad offers 3 distinct interaction modes: the touchscreen for quick and immediate operations, the Apple Pencil for precision in writing and drawing and object manipulation, and the keyboard with trackpad for an experience almost akin to using a MacBook. The keyboard is especially noteworthy. Apple has done a perfect job with the materials. The key travel is very pleasant, the backlighting is flawless, and the large trackpad, though smaller than the MacBooks, is perfectly integrated with the software. These small details enhance the user experience significantly. Mixing these 3 interaction modes is, in my opinion, the key advantage of the iPad. Some tasks are faster with a mouse and keyboard, while others are more efficient using touch. For instance, filling out a PDF form received via email is much more flexible on an iPad. You can write directly with the Apple Pencil in your handwriting or type as you would on a laptop. Another advantage of the iPad is its convenience as a secondary device. I managed an entire photo shoot setup using just the iPad. Its compact and manageable size allowed me to control my camera, microphone and lighting all from one device. While I could do this with a MacBook, the iPad made it easier, faster and more intuitive. I also edited photos on Lightroom, starting and completing professional work directly on the iPad. However, I must acknowledge that the iPad cannot entirely replace a MacBook. As a content creator, especially for video editing, the iPad isn't nearly on par with a laptop. While DaVinci Resolve is available on the iPad, it doesn't justify buying an iPad solely for that purpose. Additionally, it inherits some limitations from the iPhone. It often feels more like a large iPhone than a portable MacBook. For example, navigating the web can be problematic. The cursor on the iPad simulates a finger rather than a traditional mouse, which isn't always well integrated with third-party apps or online navigation. While the iPad's multitasking capabilities are superior to macOS in some ways, such as using touch for rapid and intuitive interactions, managing multiple processes is very limited. For instance, when uploading files to WeTransfer for a client, I had to keep the app open, which constrained my use of the device. These situations highlight that while the iPad is incredibly versatile, it cannot fully replicate the functionality of a laptop. Thus, it's more akin to a giant iPhone than a portable MacBook. Talking about iPad limitations, if you want to enhance this device, you could consider option for the iPad stand from KUXIU, which is also the sponsor of today's video. This magnetic iPad stand is particularly helpful, especially if you want to have a dedicated place for your iPad. For example, you can place it on your desk or on your bedside. My favorite feature is the fact that this stand has also a wireless charging base, so you can basically create a central point for all your devices, which is pretty a game-changing feature. KUXIU has also launched a brand new stand for these new iPad models, which also adds the ability to wireless charge the iPad itself, which is pretty a game-changing feature. So if you are interested, make sure to check out the first link in the description. But coming back to my iPad experience, since I usually use my MacBook plugged into my monitor, I tried to replicate this setup with the iPad. Of course, this doesn't change the general experience. Using the iPad plugged into the monitor just allows you to work on a bigger screen, nothing more. But it doesn't have a true desktop mode. Essentially, you are only using the iPad with more space, which can be really helpful when you want to watch a video or a film on a bigger screen. However, in general, I don't think you can replicate a true laptop experience, especially because there isn't a proper file manager, which makes things even more difficult. While I didn't find any significant revelations from using the iPad plugged into a monitor, I did find that the benefit of having the iPad was using it side by side with my MacBook. And I don't mean as an extended display, but by using the iPad as an iPad and the MacBook as a MacBook. Yes, because after these 7 days of using only the iPad, I realized that the iPad is the perfect device to enhance the macOS experience. There are indeed some people who could probably replace their laptop with an iPad, but at the same price point, I still think the iPad cannot match the capabilities of a MacBook. iPadOS is limited, but this is clearly intentional on Apple's part. Apple is a company and its primary interest is to sell more products every year. For this reason, Apple will never put probably macOS on the iPad. It simply wouldn't make sense strategically, as the iPad doesn't really have a true competitor on the market. Therefore, I don't believe Apple will ever merge these devices. If you think about it, the need to have multiple devices is almost deliberately designed. The iPad, for example, is the only Apple device on which you can write with the Apple Pencil. You can't use it on the Mac or on the iPhone. In summary, the iPad is a powerful, versatile and enjoyable device that can handle a wide range of tasks, often more comfortably and intuitively than a MacBook. Its portability, practical design and accessories make it a fantastic tool for writing, sketching and various professional applications. However, for more intensive tasks like video editing or multitasking with numerous applications, the iPad's limitations become apparent. It is a phenomenal device for certain uses, but it cannot completely replace the comprehensive capabilities of a MacBook. I really hope my experience has been helpful for you. Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts, and as always, wishing you the best. See you soon.